Hey everybody, today I'm going to be talking about the underrated skills that make a successful digitization project leader. And when you hear project leader, you may be thinking about like a project manager, the actual person in the trenches that's running your project, doing the scanning and all that technical aspects of it. But today I'm actually talking about the project leader in the sense of your account executive, basically your sales representative, because there are different aspects to a project and different leaders to a project depending on where it is in the project lifecycle. And this is really the person, your account executive. I'm just gonna say sales rep going forward, but your sales rep is the person that you first communicate with. You work with them on creating the scope of your project, and then they're gonna be with you during the handoff to the operations team, during the project when you have questions and there's communication, updates, and everything along those lines. And then of course, delivery, invoicing, and after project. So although there's a project manager that runs the actual scanning, the actual digitization of your records, your sales rep is gonna be your overall project leader, your point of contact throughout the life cycle of your project. And the first skill I'm going to talk about is communication. And having good communication skills is absolutely essential. I think a lot of the issues, not just in scanning projects, but just in general, come down to miscommunication or poor communication. I mean, you can probably imagine how many times you've gotten into issues or arguments or there's a mistake somewhere. It can probably boil down to communication. So the communication skills of your sales rep is one of the most underrated skills they could have, because they're gonna be reaching out to you. Of course, you're gonna contact a company like ours, maybe you email, fill out a form, call us, whatever. You're gonna get connected with a sales rep and they have to be able to speak clearly, succinctly, ask questions, understand you. So if they can't do that right off the bat, it's going to be hard to even talk to them and get a good feeling about working with this company. So having that communication skill just to interact with you, to get you interested in working with our company specifically, is essential. But then also throughout the project, when you have questions, how rapidly do they get back to you? I'm not saying it has to be you send an email and 30 seconds later they're responding or calling you, but if you send a question or you have a request from your sales rep, typically you think, hey, if I send something in the morning, I'll hear back at least by that day. If I send something in the afternoon, it's kind of, you look at the chunks of the morning business hours, the afternoon business hours. If I send something in the afternoon, I expect to hear back by the next morning. That's at a minimum, but typically with at least our sales reps, you're gonna hear back probably within an hour, if not sooner, because they want to get back to their customers. They are focused on communicating, make sure you know what's going on, and so we can get your project moving smoothly. If there's an issue or if you have questions, we can get you the information you need so we can keep moving forward. So there's that communication of just general interactions. But also, if there is an issue with your project, you have a question, a request about what's going on, or hey, we received something that maybe it's not exactly what we thought it was be, or maybe there is a mistake, and you have a question, you don't want to be sitting there thinking, what's going on? I haven't heard from everyone. So you want to have that communication quickly back to you and clearly back to you, so it's not kind of death by paper cut, death by email, or if you ask somebody a question, they respond with 3 more questions. You want to get your questions answered so we can keep moving forward. And that communication is essential from first interaction through delivery. So communication is the first underrated skill. The next one is problem solving ability. And problems can be simple, they can be complex, and we're not expecting our sales reps to be able to solve any problem themselves. But you may just have a simple problem like, hey, Mr. Sales Rep, I got this invoice. Who do I contact about doing X, Y, or Z? Just little things like that. Even just, again, simple problems even, they need to be able to kind of ties into communication too. Get back to you quickly and say, oh yeah, you're looking for so-and-so, and they connect you with our, let's say, our accounts receivable team. Or, hey, salesperson B, I am trying to log into your digital reel platform, it's our hosting platform, let's say, and I'm running into this error. What do I do? Either A, that salesperson, if it's a kind of rudimentary, sort of a basic problem solving activity in this platform, they say, oh, you just do X, Y, and Z, and it should be fixed. Let me hop on a video or a Zoom and help you. That's one option. They do it themselves. They solve, you got your problem fixed. Or they say, that's a little above my capabilities. What I'm gonna do though is connect you with our support team. And then they go bing, bang, boom, they connect you with the support team. So a problem solving ability is not necessarily they can actually solve every problem. They at least know who to put you in touch with to solve the problem. So that's a great skill to have that we feel that our team members, our sales reps do have as project leaders, is if they can't do it themselves, they know who to connect and connect quickly so you can be in touch with the right person to solve whatever problem that is. Next is industry knowledge, and depending who you're talking to, some people say you have to be the expert in everything to be good at your job. Other people say you don't need to know anything, just know who to go to. I think there's a nice mix in the middle. But with industry knowledge, it's not necessarily every single piece of, let's say, microfilm scanning or just digital scanning, digital transformation, hosting. There's too much to know for any one person to know everything. But industry knowledge, as it applies to this underrated skill of a project leader, would be something like, let's say you're a college registrar's office and you have 500 boxes of student records. You think, okay, I need to get these scanned. Maybe you haven't done a scanning project before, you've done smaller ones or in-house, and you think, I need to find a company. So you somehow get in touch with BMI, maybe a Google search, you were at a trade show, whatever, and you talk to our sales rep, and there's one of them that's very heavy into the education sector. So let's say you contact us and say, oh yeah, you should talk to this salesperson here. He'll be your best fit. He's an expert in this. That doesn't mean he knows every single thing about education, but what he can do with you is say, okay, you got 500 boxes. Okay, they're student records. I've worked with 5, 10, 15, 25, whatever it is. These people on similar projects, no two projects are the same, even if they sound like they're the same. They really are. Every single one of them is different, but they should have similarities. So I've worked with all these projects with people that are like you, same department, same style of records, and here's some things I recommend, or here's some things to look out for. And because it's this type of material, I've done not only worked with this type of content, student records, on this type of material, paper, but I've also done these other 50 projects over here that are paper records in folder levels with similar sized projects. So relating the industry knowledge from not just digital scanning the industry as a universe, but specifically other clients like you, other record types like microfilm, microfiche, paper, digital to digital, and also data types, student records, or maybe you have criminal records, or you have vital records like deaths, marriage, births. So the industry knowledge as it relates to your project is something you want a project leader, a sales rep to have. It's a skill that they don't need to know everything, but being able to apply their experience, their knowledge, and similarities from other projects to your project helps you craft that scope of work and craft that path to move forward successfully. And lastly, we have project management. And I know I mentioned you have project leaders like the sales reps, and then you have project managers, the ones that are actually in the trenches doing the scanning, running the teams, and making sure things are, the trains are running on time. But when I say project management as it relates to the sales rep, it goes back to just keeping tabs on where your project is and relaying those messages, going back to communication as the project moves forward. So early on, you have the initial interactions, back and forth discovery calls, learning what you need, giving you some ideas, crafting a scope of work. You go into contracting. There's maybe some back and forth on the legalese, and the legal teams are going back and forth and changing things. Great, now we have a contract. And there's maybe purchase orders. Then there's the shipping, logistics, pickups, whatever it is to get the records from you to us. Then there's the actual scanning project. If it's a short project or a small project, maybe a couple weeks. It's a bigger project, maybe a couple months, or even over a year, a couple of years it could be. So there's the project itself, multiple deliveries, sending your digital images back to you, sending your records back to you, either by dropping them off or shipping them, whatever it is. Then there's actually using whatever system you're gonna use at the end. Let's say you're using our digital reel hosted platform. There might be demos and training, getting users on board, get all the fixes and tweaks that to get your team to learn that system. And there's getting your materials back to you, like we said before. Then there's the invoicing. All that goes into a project, and each of those sections has different people involved, but your project leader really is a high-level project manager keeping tabs on all those pieces and making sure that people, let's say you're working with BMI, the legal people, the executives reviewing the contracting are working with your people doing the contracting. Once that's done, your project team has to coordinate with our logistics teams of how you're going to get the materials to us. And maybe there's pickups or shipping or using different account numbers. And there's doing the project. Then there's the actual project manager that coordinate with that person. Then there's invoicing and delivery and all that. So basically you have the project leader on the top kind of overseeing this whole process. So they have to have project management skills. Even if they never think of it like that way, even if no one really sees it that way, that's the truth of what a good sales rep will have. And that's a very underrated skill that you don't think of. Oh, it's just a salesperson. They're going to sell me something and be gone. Well, maybe in some places, not at BMI. Your sales rep, your account executive is with you throughout the entirety of the project. So they need to have that skill to successfully run your project. So something you should be looking for. So that was a lot to take in, some skills that you should be looking for in a project leader, your salesperson that's going to be with you for the project. If you're curious about working with BMI, and what we do to protect your information and how we sort of verify our own operations, we run an internal annual audit every year, which I'm going to link a video right here so you can watch what we do for our annual internal audit, how we keep your record safe, how we verify our operations. Check that out. And if you want to get in touch with us, there's a link in the comments. I'll pin it below. Thank you for watching.